Hola, amigos, and welcome back to Edible Paper, a podcast hosted by me, Paper Izzy. Um, and let's get right into it, shall we? So, a little before I started recording, I was scrolling the web, as one does, like my news feed on like something or other. Um, and it was a ad for I don't know what it was. It was like a newspaper. Sorry for that noise. Um, it was like a newspaper article, but it was like noise in your attic. Beware, it might not be mice. And it had this man like smiling, and it was really freaky, and it is kind of like haunting my mind right now. So that's all I can really think about is that man with the it might not be mice. Girl, is it you in my basement? Because oh my god. Anyways, so today's episode is my highly anticipated, and when I say highly anticipated, I mean I anticipated making it. So let's get that out of the way. But I was very excited to make this. I think I mentioned it in an earlier podcast, but today I'm going to cover art pop. Just talk about the era, talk about the album, my songs that I love, and all this kind of good stuff. So, yeah, let's get into it. Also, I forgot to mention, but this podcast is recorded while I'm on Delta 9 gummies, which are perfectly legal. But oh my god, I am high. Anyways, so let's talk about the album, shall we? This is my art pop retrospective. It's such an important album to me. It turns 10 Saturday the 11th. Um, it's just such an important album to me as like a person, and it's so good. I can't say enough stuff about art pop, and I will probably be celebrating it until I'm dead. So right now we're just on 10 years, so I don't know. Let's not get existential today. Let's just talk about art pop and have a good time, because that's what we're here for. I also have taken a little social media break. So I haven't recorded any YouTube videos or any podcasts or really been on much of anything. Like, I guess I've been on Discord a little bit and a few other like random places, but I'm just like, my mental health has been all over the place, and it's you know sometimes you gotta look out for yourself. So I was looking out for me. All right, let's get into the art pop thing, shall we? So, the art pop opens with the song Aura, which is an amazing song. I don't know if I was on Gaga Daily yet when Gaga leaked it as Boris um, to the forum and got banned, which is crazy. She apparently leaked it herself because she wanted it to be the first single for Art Pop, which makes sense. I could have seen like the trilogy of Art Pop being Aura, Venus, and Guy, because I mean that truly is like the bones of the album. So I could see that being like, the trilogy. It's the yeah, it's the Holy Trilogy, Holy Trinity. That's funny. I guess it. I'm so dumb. I love etymology. They both have try in them because it's three. So thank you, high mind, not hive mind, high mind. Anyways, Aura, great song, love that song. Great gowns, beautiful gowns. I'm so sorry, but it is such a good song. I mean, I I love how aggressive the production is. I love that she is just singing her heart out about something she believes in. Because I remember when all that happened, when she wanted to go to Jakarta and wasn't allowed to because of extremists, and just her singing about that is such like a specific, nuanced topic, and it's a fucking pop song, and it's like mind blowing. The other girls just aren't doing it like that. I mean, I tell you, it's it's a pop song. Oh, so I mean, it's The line, "Do you want to touch me, cosmic lover?" I love that line. I know some fans back in the day wish, that she had called it Burqa, but I think that Aura is the perfect name because it's not on the nose and it kind of hits you by surprise at the end when you're like, oh, I get it now. So, I know some people have debated about it being Islamophobic, which I could see. But also, like I said, it is such like a specific nuanced song. Like it is about her experience being, I mean, affected by a religion, and I think that we have to be able to criticize religion. I think when some people mess up is they want to criticize Islam more than like Christianity or something like that, and it's like religion's just dumb. Let's get it out of the way. So I don't think she necessarily meant anything like offensive by it. I think she was really just singing about her life. But of course I'm biased and I could be wrong, but that's just my thoughts on it. I'm sorry. Don't like hang me at the gallows. So it's a great album opener. It is to the point. It is like so like I said, the other girlies aren't doing it like that. They haven't since, and it's just I can't say enough about it. But let's move on to Venus. Now, Venus is such a good song, too. I am glad that it became a single. I just wish that it had performed better because it is one of Lady Gaga's best songs. Let's be fucking honest. Let's be fucking real right now. Venus is one of Lady Gaga's best songs. I will die on this hill. This is the hill that I will die on. And I hate that it underperformed. I love the imagery. I love like the sample. I love I would say I love the video, but we never got a video, and that makes me so sad. But like the little Venus parts in the Guy music video, it is such a good song, and I loved her looks for it. I loved her playing the guitar. I mean, I love her like little hand like movement she makes when she sings it live, and I still do those when I sing that song to this day. Like she would do like weird like wiggly arm things, and it is such an iconic like song, an iconic experience, and you just had to be there. It's such a good song. I also do the when she holds up her arms to the V shape for Venus. I do that. Um, if I'm driving, I only hold up one hand. Don't worry, because I don't want to. Unless I'm at like a stoplight, but what are the chances of that? But it's such a fun song and it should have done better. It should all of art pop should have done better. I feel like a broken record when I say like art pop is so underrated, but it was so like immensely amazing, spectacular, talented, show-stopping. That whole Lady Gaga meme. I mean, I'm serious. It is such a good album and such a good song. So, let's move on to track 3, Guy, Girl Under You. Um, First off, when we saw Lady Gaga at the Art Pop, at the Art Rave, me and my friend Chastity, back in whatever year that was, she went on the Art Rave. But we went to go see her because I got my tax money back, and I was like, I want to go see Lady Gaga. I have the chance to do it after the Born This Way ball. I was like, I'm not missing another chance to see her. And my friend did not have money, and I was like, I got you. I want to go, and I'm not going by myself, so let's do it. So we went, and hearing that song live was an experience I cannot put into words. It was so thrilling, proceeds to put it into words. It like the instrumentation of it, like the drums and like the beat and all the other things that are like part of a song, but every piece of it was so like immaculate. It was amazing. And like now when I hear it, I still think of it live. It is beyond. You just had to be there. Other than that, like the song itself is just so good. Like it continues obviously the EDM influence that was there through the whole album, but when it gets to that bridge, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That bridge? It is so good. It is so good. I would trade that one bridge for all of Taylor Swift's bridges. And I will not elaborate on that further because I don't want the rest of the Swifties to kill me, but that bridge is amazing. You've got to listen to Lady Gaga. If you're not on the Lady Gaga, like, if you're not a monster, you need to fix your life. I tell you something. it's but yeah, it's such a fun song, and I love the juxtaposition, guy, girl under you, and like flipping stereotypes on its head. And she's just she's brilliant. I mean, if she wrote a bottom anthem, I mean, come on, she truly is the queen of pop. I say that, but it's hilarious because I say that about like everybody, and my husband gets he's like, yeah, everyone can't be the queen of pop, and I'm like, little do you know, they can. But Lady Gaga's amazing, and I'm so happy just talking about art pop because this is like one of my niche interests. Is I'm art pop core. I live and breathe art pop. 10 years down the road, like this, I could make a thesis on art pop, and who knows? Maybe I fucking will. Don't tempt me, y'all. I'll do it. So, on to track 4, Sex Dreams with 3 X's for like pornography. Great song. The first thing that comes to mind when I think about Sex Dreams is, well, there's 2 things. The first one is her performing it at Swinefest. Listen, I'm pulling out these Lady Gaga like nuggets, and I don't think y'all were ready for it. When she when she performed it at Swinefest, the version that version is so different than the one on the album, but I love them both so much. I just haven't listened to the Swinefest one in a really long time because, it's live, so the quality's not there. But I really do love both versions and both like iterations. And it was neat to see that change from Swinefest to actual art pop. And what I would have done to be at Swinefest. You guys don't know. You really don't know what I would have done to be at Swinefest. But, oh, that was, never meant to be. I guess I saw her live, so that's pretty great. Anyways, such a good song. It's so fun. Like, I love sort of the verses are more like, I feel like R&B inspired, and the chorus is just so like in your face. Um, I love when Lady Gaga's unabashedly bisexual. Like, I love that for her. Um, and it's a great song. Um, the other thing that I think of when I think of Sex Dreams is when Art Pop came out. You have to remember, I'm the tastemaker for the people that I know. That's my job, is to introduce them to art, to culture, to cinema, to music. Like, that is my place in the world, and I'm okay with that. Um, so I bought Art Pop, and I listen to it all the time. You underestimate how much I've listened to this album. Like, in my shitty old first car, I wore that shit out. I played that album so much. So when it first came out, um, I would sing along to all the songs, of course, and there's always the part in Sex Dreams that when I lay in bed, I touch myself and think of you. That's like really loud. So I mean, I'm having fun. I'm having a ball. I'm singing. I'm dancing with my one hand that's not on the wheel, even though both hands should be on the wheel. I'm sorry. I was a new driver. I'm much more responsible now as an old person. But at the time, I was just having the time of my life listening to this stuff. So when that part would come around, I would sing it really loud, and everyone in the car would be like, ugh, like really, I don't know, like off put by the lyric, but it was a different time. But by like months down the line, when that part would come on, I would just smile because everyone else that had said that and everyone who had said it throughout the time would be singing along. I got one of my friends to buy Art Pop because we were listening to it, and they're like, this is some good shit. And I'm like, I know. I mean, come on. What am I here for? I'm here to expose you to culture. So, thank you, dear listener, for joining. I'm going to give a shout out to Jared. Hi, Jared, if you're listening. Um, they said they listened to my podcast, which was really sweet. And so it's like us hanging out. So we're hanging out right now, Jared. Oh, this is nice, isn't that? Isn't that wonderful? I'm so much like Linda off Bob's Burgers. It's kind of scary. So yeah, just seeing everybody sing along, and it was just such a joyous moment. Like art pop heals all wounds. So Sex Dreams, it's a great song. I Love Joyner is Freddy Krueger for the song. I mean, it's perfect. 1984, you know, there's already some horror in there. It's Lady Gaga, of course, there's some darkness. I mean, come on, Freddy Krueger. I thought that was pretty perfect. Let's move on to the next track. Track 5 is Jules in Drugs, featuring T.I., Too Short, and Twista. That sounds like a soda, first of all. Jules and Drugs, great song. I love when Lady Gaga does like hip hop inspired music. Starstruck is a fan favorite. I just love when she does like more hip hop oriented like beats and features, and I think it is such an interesting kind of direction for her to turn into. I don't think it's something that she'll do much more of. I think Jules and Drugs was kind of like, you know, I think it wasn't well received, but I really like it. I can only kind of rap along with T.I.'s verse. Not rapping, I can't rap. I sing along with T.I.'s verse a little bit, and then after that, like, the other guys are just on another level. I don't really know who they are. I don't really listen to them. Besides that, I know who T.I. is. But I don't know. But they're really good in this song, and I really like them in this song. Other than that, I don't know, like, what's going on with them. I hope they're all right. I hope they're doing great. I hope they're thriving. But it's such a hard hitting song, and like at the time, like I mean, obviously I was more liberal and more open, but it was just kind of like so like in your face, like drugs, and it's like wow, oh my god. But I really love it. It's a fun song. I love the instrumental bridge when I think it's Twista is rapping. But it is so heavy hitting. It is such a good like EDM song, and she really does EDM flawlessly. I know people were kind of complaining at the time, like saying EDM was over. Why is she doing this? But EDM hadn't even started until Lady fucking Gaga released Art Pop. EDM was not real until she invented it. She invented the genre. None of that other shit was real before her. She did this, and she needs her credit. She put in the work. She invented genres. What are the other girls doing? Not that. So, great song, lovely song. It's a wonderful song. That was supposed to be a Donald Trump impression. It was not very good. Forgive me. Oh! Talking for this long. It's not even been that long, but I usually don't talk 18 minutes or anything straight. So I don't do anything straight, but you know what I mean. So my throat gets so dry. It's pretty wild. So I have my iconic blue Powerade with me. If you know me, I always have a blue Powerade. They're just delicious. I don't know what else to say. The next song is track 6, Manicure, stylized as Man I Cure, which is a fun little hidden message about beauty and sex and relationships and like trying to have fun but also have something serious and not want to like heal some doofus guy but also really loving him. And it's a great song. Like I said, this is pop music and we're doing this. It's so it's such on an epic scale, and that was such a I think that was a word back then. I think that was one of the slang the children used, but it truly is like it's truly epic stuff, y'all. If you're not on this train, you need to get on the train. Unless you're scared of trains, in which case it's a boat. I don't know. I wonder if people are scared of trains. There must be people. I can't imagine it. Scared of the railroad people. But other than that, I do love trains. This is this is what you get in this podcast. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. I'm talking about trains. I don't know how we got here, but here we are. Let's move on, shall we? Track 7 is this one's gonna be a hot topic. Is Do What You Want featuring R. Kelly. On streaming now, it is not on the album. So if you search it on Spotify, it's gone. Honestly, you could probably find it anywhere else, but very controversial song, very controversial inclusion of R. Kelly, who is a certified monster. And how I try to rationalize it in my Lady Gaga fan brain is that she was suffering from a lot of pain, a lot of mental illness, a lot of trauma that stemmed from being assaulted, which she talked about a lot during the ARTPOP era. And I think that in her mind, working with someone who she might have known or like had been accused of something like that kind of would be a healing experience. I know it sounds like bullshit, but that in my Lady Gaga brain, that's how I rationalize it. I mean, when it comes on the CD, I still listen to it. It's unfortunate that he has a nice voice, because he is a absolute monster, and I think taking it off the album now was the right thing to do. On the flip side of that, there's a live version featuring Christina Aguilera, and it has some of the original lyrics for the second verse, which I love those lyrics. And so when I listen to it, especially on Spotify, I think I have just a playlist of ARTPOP with the Do What You Want featuring Christina Aguilera added in where that space was, so I can still listen to the album completely. That should have been how it was at first. It could have been a hit. The video, I don't really want to talk about the video. I don't want to talk about the video. Like I said, in my Lady Gaga brain, I can rationalize it as best I can, because I get it, but I also don't get it. The dancing lobsters, that's a pretty nice, that's a great part of the video. I think that's all we can get from that. The lobsters were the only decent thing. So do what you want with my body. Ooh, okay. Track 8, ARTPOP, the title track for the album. Lovely instrumental. It always reminds me of like something from Paper Mario, either like the X-Naut Moon Base or the Great Tree area, Bogley Woods, I think. So something in the instrumentation always makes me think of that, and I love that kind of shit when there's like Paper Mario sounding music, because Paper Mario is like my life. So it's such a pretty song, and it's heartbreaking, and I love like her metaphors, and like she's weaving in and out of like mythology, and it's like I said, the other girlies just aren't doing it like that. But it's such a beautiful song. And I remember when she performed it on, I want to say it was Jimmy Kimmel. I was thinking about this beforehand. I don't know if it's Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon. I get all the Jimmy late night people confused. So it was one of the Jimmy late night people. And she performed ARTPOP like right at the end of the era. I mean, I think it was at the end of the Guy era, and that was it, because it was an ill-fated album cycle. But she performed it, and I like to think of it as like ARTPOP's battle cry. It's like its final, like, just shout into the ether, trying to show what art can do for everyone. So it starts with her playing it on the piano, and then it goes into full instrumentation. It is such a beautiful version. If you have not listened to it, I encourage you to. It is one of my favorite Lady Gaga performances, hands down. It is great. Other favorite Lady Gaga performances, I'll talk about one later. Obviously, the 2009 VMAs. I mean, come on. Bleeding to Death on stage. I remember sitting at home in my computer, head turned around watching MTV and seeing her do that, and I was just, what's happening? Oh my god. And I love sorry, I love when you listen to that live version of Paparazzi, which I do frequently. You can hear the crowd gasp when she starts bleeding. I mean, come on. Holy shit. She is such an amazing artist. And I think people, like, obviously that put her on the map. And I think people were always expecting her to get something like that again. And I think that she has in ways. Uh, like, just because it's not the same, or it's hard to beat that kind of thing. Because any of the stuff that she would do after, I feel like would have got her just as, you know, well known and established. So I don't think it's necessarily on the fault of the music or anything. Because I mean, I love art pop so much, even to this day. Oh, it's just an unfortunate circumstances, but it's a beautiful song, and I love it so much. Encompasses the album so well, and it's just her enjoying art and pop culture and being Lady Gaga, and I just think it's such a wonderful song. Okay, on to track 9, which is Swine. 9 Swine. I wonder if she did that on purpose. Um, I love Swine. The EDM in it, like I said, girlies weren't doing EDM before Lady Gaga came along. That other shit was not EDM. She is so good in this song. And again, it's about like, sexual assault and like toxic masculinity, and it has all these like interwoven things in it, and like male chauvinism, and like the one where they hate women. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. I'm very high right now. Um, I keep trying to remember it because it was misogynist. Because there was an episode of Glee where Brittany was like, "I went to a misogynist when I pulled a muscle." It's so funny. Random thing. I used to love Glee too. Ugh, don't get me started. Don't get me started. So it's just so many interwoven like narratives in it, and it is so good. It is so hard hitting. Like the drop, I can't. I just if you haven't heard it, I don't know what to tell you. I will say like 10 years on, the drop isn't as exciting because I know it's there, but it is so good. It is such a good song. It is so fun, and I mean, just to think that she can put all this stuff together into a pop song, like I said, that's just nuts to me. And I think she really pushed, the sound of mainstream pop. She wanted to do something, and she did it. And I think now it's a lot more well received than it was back in the day, but I think it had such an impact on music as a whole, and I think that it just can't be understated. And I think, Swine fits right into that with being so hard hitting and so personal. So I mean, it's mind blowing. And a lot of these things, like she talks about how Our Pop was a very sad album. And in a way, it really is. She talks about a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. But, I sort of like Rain on Me. It's like we can, not enjoy the bad things that have happened to us, but we can take them and we can live with it. And, I think that's a great thing that singing about dark stuff does. You can set it free and just live with it and still be happy with your life. And that kind of is what art pop stands for me. The next track, of course, is not so deep. It's Donatella, track 10. Donatella, not my favorite song on the album. It's a good song. Like it's fun. It's very like, I feel like it's very early Gaga, right up there with like the first Fashion, um, that kind of thing. Because she did have a song earlier on called Fashion. I think it was in Confessions of a Shopaholic or something. If that was the name of the movie, I don't know, because that just makes me think of Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. I don't really know what the movie was, but we're not even talking about that song. So Donatella, I like it. It's it's a complicated feeling because there is a few lyrics where it's like, I know she's supposed to be like, it's supposed to sound vapid and shallow, so I guess it's all part of like the act, but it just seems kind of like, I know she wanted art pop to be more like immature, but I think it may have veered too far into immature, but you know what? I think it's a great song. The album, I couldn't imagine it without it. And I love how Donatella and Fashion, because there's an exclamation point, are right next to each other, and then Mary Jane Holland and Dope, and it's a it's a great little thing. She really told a story with this album. I know she said she worked with DJs to make it like the perfect like mix of songs. The songs come in at the right time to make sure that it stays hard hitting the whole way through, and I think they really succeeded with that. Going from Donatella right into Fashion, they kind of tell similar stories of like, opulence and designer and that kind of thing. But I think it just takes it to a higher level, and it is so ethereal and so like groovy, and I don't know. Fashion is an amazing song. It is so different from the album, but it fits right in, and it's just like, like where the couture is beyond is one of the lyrics, and that really, I think, exemplifies the song. Like, it's taking it so far beyond just fashion, and it's fashion. Peppermint, oh my god, Peppermint and Bob, but it is fashion, for sure. It's a great song. Actually, David Guetta and will.i.am worked on this song, which I think we didn't figure out until like, we, as in the fandom, we didn't figure that out until later, and I just thought that was wild, like will.i.am and David Guetta, like no offense to the girlies, but they're a little basic, so thinking that they worked on Art Pop was kind of like, oh my god, they have it in them to do something like groundbreaking again, but Lady Gaga just brings that out of people, let's be honest. So enough with bashing poor will.i.am and David Guetta. Poor, they're rich, they'll be fine. I can make fun of them on my little podcast where two people will listen. Hi, two people, how are you this evening or morning or afternoon? Oh my, oh my. Great song. I love when she performed it at her Muppets Thanksgiving special with RuPaul. If that's not the craziest sentence you've heard in this podcast, I don't know what would be. So, love the little bit of change of pace. It's great, and then it slams right into Mary Jane Holland, and oh my god. This is another one of those like really hard-hitting EDM tracks on the album, and I love it so much. I love her talking about, her drug use at the time, like, probably not the best thing. And I know at one point she said there was no weed on Art Pop, but there is. It is fun to see her. She was just having fun and living her best life. And I feel like this song is very The Fame Monster with like Russian hookers, cheap gin. It just seems very like in that space. One of my favorite things about Mary Jane Holland is like the little end bridge thing when she sings "Ladies and Gentlemen, Mary Jane Holland," and like you kind of hear like a crowd, and then the beat drops. Experiencing that shit live, hearing the crowd around you when the crowd is supposed to go off in the song, was absolute euphoria. You don't understand. You had to be there. So like when I hear that song, that's what I think about the most. And I don't know if it was like my favorite song beforehand, but like with that added context of the concert, seeing the art rave, it's great. It's amazing. So that's what I think of when I hear Mary Jane Holland. It's a fun song. And I like how, with Donatella and Fashion, because of the exclamation point, go together. Mary Jane Holland and Dope go together. And Dope is definitely sad. It's the saddest song on the album. It is like a retooling from the song she played at Swinefest, which was I Want to Be With You. And I'm always torn onto which one I wish was on the album. Obviously, like I said with Donatella, I can't imagine the album without Dope. I think it adds a lot of it adds an extra layer of like, oh, okay, this is something somber. Um, this is a heavy thing we're talking about, and it's okay to be sad about it for a while. And I really do love it. I love the imagery in the song. It is so sad and heartbreaking to, hear her, cry like, I need you more than all my vices, more than anything else. Like, I need you. And that is such a heavy thing, in a relationship, it's sometimes doesn't feel like everything's perfect and everything's great, but that's okay because it's like at the end, it's like, I want to be with you, which is, funny enough, the uh, name of the song that it was retooled from, which I guess I'll talk about that a little bit too. I know there was a leak of the produced version, and it is so happy and so fun, and it goes right alongside like the next song on the album. And I think they're two sides of the same musical coin. I think one is, they're both about wanting to be with somebody, but one, I guess, is about the euphoria, and the other one is about maybe the sacrifices you make by being with somebody. And not even the sacrifices you make, but the choices, how they affect the person you love, and how much you would fight for them, even though it's hard. And I just really appreciate that even now, like, it's aged so well. I totally see where she's coming from. I mean, obviously, not in the same respect, because she has a lot more going on, but it's just, it's such a heart-wrenching moment. And I that's one of the reasons that I love Lady Gaga. Obviously I talked about the VMAs in 2009 that kind of made me take notice, as it did a lot of people. But it wasn't until like I heard Speechless that I was like, oh my god, this person. I grew up in the Christian school and the church, so um, when I started listening to Lady Gaga, I'm like, oh, this isn't good for how I slurred Lady Gaga's name, Lady Gaga. Anyways, so secular music was frowned upon, and so I'm like, okay, this person is not a good person. And then there was all the Illuminati stuff going on, and I was impressionable. Thank God I got out of that. And so I was like, I shouldn't listen to her. Actually sold my Lady Gaga CDs, and then I just went and bought them back. Once I was like, that's stupid. I love music, and I'm not gonna let. I think that was a big breaking point for me. It's like, I love music, and I'm not gonna let stupid shit like that stop me from enjoying music that I love. And like I said, when I heard Speechless, it was like, someone that writes like this cannot be a bad person. Like, you can just feel them through the music, and it's amazing. And that carries over to something like this, Dope. Like, I can feel that emotion through it, and it's a great song. And like I said, it wouldn't be art pop without it, and I'm glad it's there. Track 14 is, let me preface this with saying, I'm just saying it to say the name of the song, and I probably will not mention the title anymore in the video, in the podcast. Gypsy is song 14, which I know it's not like I don't know if it's widely accepted to be a slur, but I think it should be used appropriately, and this is not the appropriate instance. It's a metaphor. She could have used anything else, but again, 2013 was a different time, and I think that was on the cusp of realizing a lot more stuff wasn't as politically correct, if you want. But all that aside, amazing song. I love it. It is so wonderful. Like I said, obviously her using the term gypsy isn't great because it can be derogatory. But I also think that, like I said, in my fucked up Lady Gaga brain, she is respectfully using the metaphor because she's a sweet and wonderful person, and I don't think she means anything by it. Now, is that the truth? Maybe not. Does that negate the hurt someone may feel by hearing that term used? It doesn't. So, I can only stay in my lane and give my 2 cents about it. But the amount of euphoria in Gypsy, it kind of goes from it goes from dope into this song, and you kind of see her heal a little bit. And even though I think she still had a lot of hard times after that, and she probably does now too. I don't know the woman, not really. um, but to see her kind of thrive through that is beautiful. And I know a lot of the lyrics were for what's his face, who was on the Chicago Fire, um, Taylor Kinney. I can't believe I forgot his name. Um, and that's kind of sad, especially knowing that their relationship did eventually end. But it's such a beautiful song, and it's so pretty. Obviously, it's beautiful, it's pretty, but it's joyful, and I love seeing that part of her too. Actually, I remember when she performed it in, I think it was Germany, and she performed it with her dolly mustache and the weird like contacts eyebrow like thing she had going on. Very weird looking, but I love that look. It's very it's it's so intense. I love what she was doing there in the art pop era. She was referencing so many different art movements and artists and culture, and it's such a good album. Anyways, but that performance with her just doing it on the piano is great. It reminds me of something maybe like Billy Joel would do or Elton John. And I mean, this woman can do it all. She can just do it all. And this was in 2013. She was doing it all. She was doing everything. The other girlies weren't doing shit. That's not true. Miley Cyrus came out with bangers this year, or 2013, that year. So there were people doing other stuff, and there are a lot of good albums that came out that year. You know what I mean? But it's nothing like this. Nothing like art pop. Come on, no one was doing it like art pop. On to the last song. We're almost done. Oh, all right. Which this is a long episode. If you're still sticking around, hi, how are ya? Applause is the last song on the album. Beautiful, amazing, show-stopping. Obviously, I think she had mentioned, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, Aura was supposed to be the first single, and then I guess, they moved it to Applause. That's what the label wanted. But I still think Applause was a great single choice. I adore the video, even the weird swan part. She's so amazing and so out there and so batshit, and I love it. And I feel like it's toned down a lot, especially since then. I think that was probably the death of it there with art pop. But it was so intense and so like just it was art pop, and I can't get over it. But Applause is a fun song. I think it does with her continual like motif of like dealing with fame, and in sort of, I think this album does show it in more of a toxic light than she had shown it yet. And I think Applause definitely goes with that. Like there's definitely a cynicism with it. I think, like talking about, I found the vein, put it in here, talking about like, applause is an IV. I feel like that is I think that's kind of dark and sinister, because that's how people do. What is the drug they do in their arm like that? Heroin. Oof. So, yeah, I think it's definitely probably a reference to that too. And I think that fits in with a lot of themes on the album, and it is such a fun song. And she's literally crying out, like, I live for the applause, and the cruel cosmic joke of this album doing like the worst. And it didn't even do that bad. That's the fucked up thing. Like, it did not do that bad, but it didn't perform to where people thought it would, and so, it was labeled a flop. But it's such a good, influential album, an influential era to pop culture itself. Like, one second, what is the lyric of Applause? It's, suddenly becomes me. Pop culture wasn't art, now art and pop culture in me. And that is so true. She became part of the zeitgeist that she was always singing about, and it's beautiful to see her like weave herself into public consciousness and be Lady fucking Gaga. It is the perfect end for the album. Her saying ARTPOP, which I don't know if I ever got down doing with my hands, but it's a great like outro to the album, and just sending it out to us from outer space. It, it encompasses so much of it, and I do think it was a good first single, and that was one of my other favorite Lady Gaga performances. Is she did for GMA, she did a Wizard of Oz themed performance where she was like Dorothy, she was the Wicked Witch. I mean, she was doing everything. She snatched that girl's weave, the new Wicked Witch, and it was like it is so far beyond it for a GMA, a Good Morning America performance. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, that should have been the one she performed at the VMAs. Let's face it. Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about the VMAs performance, which was also a great performance. It was like they had the same bones, of her changing out of outfits and into stuff, showing like her different eras. And I forget what she wanted to do, but like MTV didn't want her to do it. I guess they didn't want her to overshadow like other people like Miley Cyrus and all this other stuff. And I think that also had a lot to do with how the era was received. I think when you let Lady Gaga do what the fuck she wants, she knows what the fuck she's doing, and she can get it done. And the fact that these record label executives, these old men sitting in a chair somewhere, is like, well, I think you should do this. Girl, shut the fuck up. Lady Gaga does what she does, and she does it well. And to see such a promising album and era be labeled a flop because of some old fucking man in a chair saying like this is what's marketable, this not, we're not going to do what you want. Lady Gaga knows what the fuck she's doing, y'all. I cannot with like I said, I could talk about art pop forever. There's so many memories associated with it. It's such a good record. I know, I think DJ White Shadow teased like an art pop act 2 like finally coming out like in the future, but I honestly don't think that's ever happening. Like, I keep waiting. I'm like, maybe she'll announce it. Maybe she'll announce it, but it's not happening. The 10-year anniversary is right around the corner, and who knows? If I upload this and they announce Art Pop Act 2, I'm going to lose my shit. Because she did say she wanted to do an Art Pop Act 2 back in the day, but of course, we already went through, like, the critical reception of it. But, like, songs left on the cutting room floor that we really wanted to hear, like Tea or Sire or even like Princess Di and like maybe some of the White Roses songs. Like there's all that stuff like the rumors and of what art pop was gonna be and like the Wizard of Oz inspiration dot on Gaga Daily and like online. I mean, come on. There's such like lore with art pop and it's like you can't just explain it to somebody so easy. Here I am and there's so much stuff that I've missed and I could talk about it forever, but now it's almost 2 in the morning, and I'm tired, and my throat's dry, and my mouth is dry, and my life is dry. But art pop is the moisture that makes my life soggy. I don't know that one needs some work, but if you listened, make sure to leave a comment, rate it on Spotify, I guess. Just let me know, like, what is your favorite Lady Gaga song? What does art pop mean to you? Like, let's talk about it. Let's make a cult of art pop. I mean, it's only like a few steps away at this point because I don't know what else I'm so passionate about other than art pop. That is like one of my main personality traits. And happy 10 years. I can't believe it's been a decade. Holy fucking shit, y'all. Such a great album. I guess I'll end thinking about that man at the beginning I was talking about who it might not be rats and all I can think is that man is in my attic and I'm scared. So also songs that I like right now, obviously the whole entire art pop is like what I'm into. Sweet Dream by Alicia Cara. I know it's a few years old now, but that song goes in and I'm really feeling it. I think it's nice hearing people they can sing and put into words things that you feel, and I think obviously that's why we relate to music. Also, Black Eye by Ali X. Oh my god, if there was another girlie doing it like Lady Gaga, I would say it's Ali fucking X. Black Eye, amazing song. If you haven't heard it, turn your life around and go to Mother and listen to that song. It is so good. And at the end, like when she goes full like Phantom of the fucking Opera, it's insane. It's beyond. Oh, so good. So that's a bit of what I'm listening to, other than, art pop, which I've been listening to for 10 years. Oh, also 1989 Taylor's version, come on. I'll probably do a video about that too. Or I keep calling it a video, but it's a podcast. Whatever. They film podcasts sometimes. I just don't film this. But that's about it, and I hope you enjoyed listening to Edible Paper. I'm your host, Paper Izzy, and I'll see y'all next time. Adios, amigos.